Hello and welcome to Star Citizen's Top 10 Tips in 2 minutes. I'm Steve Woody and I'm going to talk you through all the main things that you need to know if you're just getting started with Star Citizen. Tip number 1, manage your expectations. This is not a game. Most people will call it that, but it's actually a tech preview. It's a sandbox and it's buggy. There are problems from server lag to desync to your ship randomly blowing up to all kinds of problems that you will encounter. The actual game is called Squadron 42, and that hasn't launched yet. So, Star Citizen, the persistent universe that you can currently go into, is still in early access alpha mode. And so, there are going to be consistent problems that frustrate you. So, my top tip is going to be to manage your expectations. Don't get stressed out. And if this is the kind of thing that really bothers you, then maybe just come back when version 1 launches. All right, with that being said, let's jump into the rest. Tip number 2 is to try every game loop. Make sure that you go through the contracts on your mobiGlas. They're going to be tied to your reputation. You can go through all of these, and also there are other jobs that you can do that are not in the contracts. This could be mining, refining, even salvaging. So make sure you take control of all of the contracts that are available to you, as well as the game loops that are not that obvious. You can find lots of videos on YouTube to help you through those. Tip number 3 is to set your regeneration point outside of your main planet. To do that, you'll need to go to an insurance terminal, you'll need to activate it, which you can just click the start. And then once here, what you'll need to do is set your new spawn point. These insurance points are all over the stations. You can find them in any medical facility. You'll simply go up to this, you'll touch it to start, and then you will select your new spawn. So this is my current location. If I had a new location, I would be able to select this here and transfer my imprint. I recommend that you take somewhere like a space station in the orbit of a planet. That way, if you die, you will not need to then get the train and leave the planet's orbit. You'll be able to go straight to the hangar to get into your ship. It cuts out between 10 to 15 minutes of wasted time every time you respawn. So I highly recommend that for ease of use, you have a space station as your respawn point rather than a main planet. Tip number 4 is don't get gear fear. It is very, very easy to acquire gear within this game. You can go and run very simple mercenary bunker missions. You can acquire all of the armor, all of the ammo, med pens, guns and weapons that you need. You do not need to go and buy them, so don't waste your money buying gear, and don't be scared and feel like you need to hoard gear. It's very easy to be able to acquire and to be able to get the gear that you need as and when you need it. You only really need to be running around with a multi-tool and a med pen and a weapon to defend yourself. With something like a very simple pistol, you can normally kill an NPC or an AI and acquire all of their gear. So you can even run out pretty much naked with just a bodysuit on and you will be okay. So don't get gear fear, don't worry about holding on to that gear. Very easy to acquire in this game. So if you die, you die. One of those things that happens. Tip number 5 is to set a keybind for your landing request. To do that, press escape, go into options, go across to keybinds. From here, whether you're using a keyboard mouse or a gamepad or a joystick, you'll select that first. Once you have that selected and you are on flight, you will go to advanced control customization. Clicking on this, you will then see a huge list of different keybinds. We are looking for flight movement. It is the 4th one down. We're going to open this. We're going to scroll all the way down through this list. And we are looking for request landing. Make sure that this has a keybind enabled. Normally it will be left Alt and N, but if you want to change that, you will be using this every time you land and take off. You'll need it to open your hangar doors. So make sure that you have this. It's very, very important to have this set as a keybind to make your life much easier. Tip number 6 is to test out Arena Commander. Make sure that if you're going to be flying your ship, you first test the controls in Arena Commander, and if you're going to get involved in FPS, you also do the same. You do not want to waste your time going into the persistent universe, getting into a ship, only to then crash the moment you take off. So make sure you practice in the arcade mode, which is Arena Commander, to get used to the basic controls first. Tip number 7, don't buy ships for real money. Aside from your initial game pass or the game package that you do need to buy, which is less than $50, you do not need to spend any additional money on this game. If you want to, of course you can, but I'm just saying that every ship that is available in the game is available to buy with game credits. And at the moment in the tech preview, there's not really much else to do aside from grinding for ships and grinding for reputation. Reputation gives you better missions, but once you've got the bigger ships, there's not really much else to do. Obviously, there's a sandbox element to this where you can create your own content, but you'll find yourself getting bored very quickly once money is no longer an issue. You'll struggle at the start, and it will become very easy later. So please understand that if you go out and buy the biggest and best ships for real money, you're kind of cheating yourself of that opportunity to experience this tech preview the way it's currently been designed. So I wouldn't waste money outside the game. This is not a play to win. You can have as much of an advantage as anybody else by simply doing certain game loops to earn money, to be able to buy the ships. And whilst people might be able to buy those ships quicker than you, you'll still be able to do exactly the same things in-game as anybody that pays money. So there's no need to do it. Tip number 8 is to always ensure that you are carrying a multi-tool and a med gun. These are the only 2 requirements whenever you leave somewhere, alongside, I would say, a bottle of water, because you never know when you're going to get dehydrated. So make sure you've always got at least 1 bottle of water in your armor. Always have a multi-tool with the tractor beam attachment, because you never know when you're going to need it. And always have a med gun as well, because you can use it to revive fallen teammates. You can even use it to revive strangers who might pay you to help them, or you can use it to help yourself if you get into a conflict and you need to administer some quick drugs. It's a lot easier to carry 1 gun than 5 or 6 different med pens, so make sure you've always got those 3 items. I would say that is a multi-tool, a med gun, and a bottle of water every time you leave, as well as your undersuit and your helmet. These are absolute core items that you should always have on you at all times. Tip number 9 is that whenever you land your ship, no matter where you are, always press the I key to turn off your engines. You can see that by the hydrogen and the quantanium just to the right of center. You see those 2 red bars on the screen right now. When I press the letter I or the key I to turn my engines on, they are blue. And when I press it, they are red. That means they are turned off. Always make sure whenever you land, always turn your engines off. Otherwise, your ship might end up hovering 15 meters above the ground and you won't be able to get back into it. Finally, for my 10th tip, always make sure you have an agenda. Make sure you've got an outcome and something to work towards, whether it's the next ship that you want to acquire, whether it's the next level of reputation. Always make sure when you log in, you know what it is that you want to do. Now, if for any reason you decide to go off course, that's absolutely fine, but it really helps to make sure you've got something to focus on. That's it. That's the 10 tips. Thank you very much for watching.